Quick heads up before we get going. There will be story spoilers for Astral Chain once we get to this character's final smash. Be warned, in case you don't want to get spoiled for a 6-year-old game. This is Challenger Approaching, where we take a character who hasn't been playable in Smash Bros. Yet and theorycraft a full fighter design as if they did get in. Our challenger this time is a little special. Every Smash game likes bringing in new series, and this character happens to be from one of the original Switch's standouts. And yet, their franchise's future is in danger. With the original developers seemingly on its last legs, there might be no one left to keep this arc afloat. Could Smash be the savior they're looking for? Maybe, because these twin contenders have some really interesting stuff they could pull off as a newcomer. Akira! To explain who Akira Howard is, we need to talk about the calamity they're up against. In the mid-21st century, a sudden meteor impact caused rifts in reality to begin appearing across Earth, quickly corrupting everyone and everything nearby with a red-tinted substance that spread like wildfire. Living beings exposed to the red matter succumbed to the corruption, mutating into mindless aberrations. Even worse, strange monsters named chimeras, invisible to the naked eye, emerged from the rifts, attacking bystanders and abducting them through the portals into the astral plane beyond. This strange, seemingly infinite dimension slowly unwound the very being of anything from Earth, converting them into raw data and archiving them away forever. Faced with a spreading apocalypse, the remnants of humanity built an Ark, a sprawling multicultural metropolis on an artificial island where they hoped to wait out this otherworldly flood. But not even the Ark was safe. It didn't take long for the same gates to start appearing there as well. In a last-ditch effort to survive, a division of the Ark police force called Neuron toiled in secret and developed a way to fight back. By capturing certain chimeras, they could harness the otherworldly creatures and put them under an officer's command as allied legions. With the right training, the Neuron officers could learn to understand and work with their new partners to fight enemy chimeras, close astral gates, and give humanity a chance at a future. This is where the Howard twins come in. Orphans whose birth mother died of redshift corruption were adopted by the field captain of Neuron and are now, against said captain's wishes, the task force's newest recruits. Releasing in the summer of 2019, Astral Chain may not have been a runaway hit, but it did find an audience. This type of action game isn't Nintendo's usual fare, and the cyberpunk setting is pretty rare for their IPs. Their other futuristic ones focus on outer space and different planets. Yet according to both Nintendo and developer Platinum Games, it sold better than they expected. An update from late 2022 said it sold over 1.3 million copies. That's actually more than Bayonetta 3, and almost as much as Bayo 2. And Nintendo themselves saw enough potential in the series that they splurged and acquired the full rights from Platinum, turning it from a jointly owned IP into a fully first-party one, which has led to people, myself included, wondering if/when a sequel will happen. The original director even said he had ideas for one. Problem is, since late 2024, reports have come out that Platinum isn't looking too hot behind the scenes. It's unclear how much longer they'll even exist for, and Astral Chain's director recently left for another studio, which means the best chance for this series to avoid being archived away might actually be Smash Bros. Being from a franchise that debuted during the Switch era, there's at least a plausible chance that the game's protagonists could get that coveted invite. But will they live on, despite the odds? Well, what if it happened? This is what we're here for. Appearance-wise, the Howard twins have some key differences from other Avatar characters. For one, both siblings exist no matter who you choose as your player character. Actually, Akira becomes the name of whichever twin you don't play as, but it's the closest point of consistency between them, so fans collectively refer to the two as either Akira or Officer Howard. Hopefully that clears some things up. Either way, both siblings are present and playable here, with their heights adjusted to be the exact same for balance purposes. The female twin got unfortunately left out of the key art because fitting 3 characters into that limited space would have been an ordeal, and because I only have so much money to pay for the art with. Both twins are also decked out in futuristic gear, including the Legatus device that lets them summon and control their legions, as well as an X-Baton, a high-tech weapon with 3 adjustable forms for subduing crooks and extra-dimensional creatures. The twins' personalities also differ a little in Astral Chain. Kind of. The sibling you aren't controlling ends up more headstrong and plagued by self-doubt, while your player character is more of a silent protagonist, with one major exception later on. We're going to thread the needle and focus on the personality traits they have in common. For example, even the twin you do play as has a defiant streak, willing to stretch the letter of the law to uphold the spirit of the law and save innocent lives. It shows up in ways like certain attacks being more improvised and surprisingly aggressive in an otherwise disciplined moveset. For alternate costumes, these officers have the right outfits for the job. First are the default Neuron sets with an emphasis on blue and white. They diverge more from here. Male Akira gets a red and white alt based on the Arc Police Rescue Corps uniform, and a yellowish green and grayish brown one inspired by the Arc Security Forces. Meanwhile, female Akira gets a white and mint green palette based on the medic outfit, and an orange and darker gray borrowed from the mechanic division. By the way, their legions also change color schemes to match. You can adjust their colors in-game, so there's precedent. The last 2 alts are special, using the color scheme of the Raven Corps unit that the twin you don't play as ends up in during the story. Edgy, isn't it? So, those of you interested in this character for the gameplay, you know where this is going. The Howard twins could give Smash a newcomer in an archetype it's only touched one time before. Puppet fighters are a recurring thing in fighting games. You control one character while directing a second one around that can also attack. You're probably thinking, wait, like Rosalina? Yeah, exactly like that. Her Lumas give her a unique style of zoning where you zone using a whole other character. Akira is going to be a different take on the archetype that follows different rules. Especially strategy-wise. The twins can use their attacks in tandem with their legion to control large amounts of the stage at once, limiting where opponents can safely go. It's a natural counter to hit-and-run tactics. Enemies can't swing at you once and run away if you don't give them anywhere they can flee to. Now for more detailed stats. And look at all those ratings with 2 sets of numbers. These indicate Akira's abilities without and with a legion in play, respectively. On their own, their attacks are rather lacking in raw damage, speed, combo utility, and knockout power, with a few exceptions. But with a legion to back them up, most of these weak points become strengths. The living weapon's bigger, harder-hitting moves can attack in one location while you cover another. You also gain the ability to combo moves into and out of your legion's own attacks. Requires a lot of timing and practice, but the more in sync you are, the better you'll be able to pull off some impressive feats. Working with your legion is key, because Akira's mobility stats aren't much to write home about. Mediocre speed when running and jumping, and fall speed around the middle, means you're not going to cover ground very quickly, especially with the 5th slowest initial dash in the game. True to their mobility in Astral Chain, there isn't much of a burst of speed here, but when you have a legion out to cover areas you can't get to, that's not as much of a problem, provided you think ahead. On the bright side, Akira's walking speed is actually pretty good, and being physically fit officers wearing futuristic armor means they're decently heavy, within the top 20 in weight. Even if you take a few hits, you can keep on fighting. We have a lot of moveset to go over. Let's start with what Akira can do on their own. Their jab combo consists of 3 hits using their X-Baton, swiping it diagonally from right to left, then from left to right, then finishing with a forward thrust. Overall, it's on the slower side and deals merely okay damage. But there's an alternate finisher that hits harder. More on that later. Forward tilt's pretty simple, and also directly from the source material. Akira spins, leans forward, and swings the baton forcefully from right to left. A slow-ish but decently strong move that you can angle up or down. Helps if you lack the time for anything fancier. Here's a fun one. For their up tilt, Akira hops in place and throws a roundhouse kick that hits diagonally above them. The Smash version would kick at a higher angle than it does in Astral Chain, but it still wouldn't cover behind or directly above them very well. On the bright side, surprisingly low end lag would make it good for starting combos. Akira's down tilt is a crouching leg sweep. Yeah, it's cliche, but it is directly from their game. This is actually their fastest grounded move, slightly faster than their jab. Diagonally forward knockback makes it hard for you to follow up, but if your Legion is nearby, that's another story. Now for something more advanced. One of a few special attacks you get by upgrading the X-Baton, this flying kick covers a long distance. The delay at the start means it's rather slow to come out, but it hits hard enough and covers enough space to be worth it. Akira's smash attacks involve one of the X-Baton's alt modes, the Great Sword-like Gladius. Their forward smash is a classic, quickly swapping the Gladius mode, gripping the hilt with both hands, and slashing forcefully from left to right. Yeah, it's slow, but it packs a punch if it connects, and that's just the regular version. Akira's up smash is less typical. You know their up tilt animation? This is a fancier version, planting the Gladius into the ground and using it as an anchor point for throwing a 1-2 flying kick. Like the up tilt, the smash version would come out at a higher angle, almost hitting directly above. The two kicks link into each other. And Akira's down smash is another move you get from upgrades. By rotating the control stick before attacking with the Gladius in Astral Chain, you get this far-reaching spin attack. It transfers into the moveset as a slow but powerful down smash that deals 3 hits, one in front, then one behind, then back in front again for the final blow. Does Astral Chain have mid-air combat? Well, yes, but we're starting the aerials with something based on a grounded move. The baton mode's rotate the stick attack is a spinning kick we can turn into a neutral air with some adjustments. Ditch the forward motion, speed up the start, and extend the kick so it also hits behind them, and you have an effective move for clearing space around you. Among the actual mid-air attacks is the perfect forward air. This downward swing of the baton is a natural fit. While it doesn't spike, it does deal solid damage while outspacing opponents who fight purely hand-to-hand. Next is another mid-air attack we're adapting to work as a back air. Akira would turn around before performing this horizontal baton strike, hitting behind them instead of in front. Like usual for back airs, it hits harder than it looks, being one of their best knockout moves if their Legion isn't available. Speaking of adapting stuff, this one took some creative liberties. How about taking the somersault kick you can use against enemies that are stunned and moving it into the air? This decently fast and long-lasting aerial helps juggle people, but its knockback isn't great, so use other moves to take stocks. And we can use the baton's Gladius mode for one more thing. Based on a move you get when holding the attack button, Akira dramatically swings the blade straight below them, more vertically downward than what you see here. Sure, it's pretty slow, but it deals a powerful spike if it connects. How about Akira's grabs and associated moves? Their grab animation has them reach forward purposefully with their left hand. Sometimes you need to keep a perp, or an opponent, from going anywhere. They improvise for their pummel, whacking the opponent with the flat side of their baton. Gets a little extra damage and unstales other moves. Akira's throws take advantage of the X-Baton's other mode. Swapping to the blaster function, they shove the opponent away while firing a quick volley of 3 energy shots. The 4 hits combined deal pretty good damage. Their back throw is fancier. Based on the blaster move used when you wait a moment between button presses, Akira spins around their foe and fires 3 shots while jumping backward. Functionally, it's like the forward throw in the opposite direction, but it looks cool. Up throw has Akira toss their opponent up slightly, lean backward a little, and fire 3 shots upward at them. By the way, none of these throws combo into anything by yourself. If you have your Legion nearby, though. Finally, Akira's down throw charges the blaster and fires a shot right at the opponent's feet. Deals the most damage out of the 4, but it won't KO on its own. That is, unless your Legion is in the perfect spot to follow up. Alright, we're getting too serious. How about some taunts? Akira's up taunt has them bring one hand up to their head as their uniform's iris system activates and scans the area. Then they turn it off and announce, "All clear." Their side taunt replicates the flourish done at the start of a few missions where they activate the Legatus device. It's already active here, but sometimes you just want to look cool. And Akira's down taunt has them pick up an empty soda can by their feet, then they kick it a couple times like a hacky sack, then stash it away so it can be thrown away properly the next time they see a trash can. We've seen what Akira can do on their own, but what happens when they get some help? Their specials all involve their Legion, and their neutral special gets the party started. Press B to activate the Legatus device and summon forth a Sword Legion to fight, connected to Akira by the eponymous Astral Chain. This puppet of sorts follows some unique rules. The Legion will attack any opponent who gets close, using one of a few moves based on the foe's relative position and current damage. Pretty strong moves with big hitboxes, but you don't control when it attacks, usually. You can, however, move the Legion around freely. While it stays next to you by default, hold B and you can guide it in any direction with the control stick. Unlike in Astral Chain, this includes the air, though it'll slowly fall if left in midair. There's a maximum distance your Legion can travel from your position. If you move beyond that, it'll get pulled along. While the Legion is big, about Ganondorf-sized, it cannot block anyone. They just move through it. It can be attacked, but it takes reduced knockback and hit stun compared to regular fighters. The Legion has extra functions if it's right next to you and hasn't been sent out. During certain moves, a blue aura briefly surrounds Akira. Press B then to activate a sync attack where your Legion jumps in to perform a unique follow-up. These appear after the second hit of Akira's jab, there's that unique finisher, after their down throw, and as they start performing their smash attacks, creating alternate versions using the Legion that are even slower but extra strong and long-lasting. What's limiting this dynamic duo? A literal limiter gauge. Whenever your Legion is active, the gauge ticks down by 3 points per second. Each time your Legion attacks or gets hit, a segment of the gauge depletes according to the attack used or damage taken. Using a sync attack, or a special involving your Legion, expends a full third of the gauge. You can dismiss your Legion anytime it's not in the middle of something by pressing Shield plus B, at which point the gauge starts refilling and you can bring it back whenever. But if you let the gauge empty out, your Legion goes away immediately, the gauge refills at half speed, and you can't summon your Legion again until it's topped off completely, which can take up to 20 seconds. This special is the focal point of Akira's fighting style. Summon your Legion, direct it around, synchronize your attacks, and dismiss it before it's too late. Managing your Legion's position and minding the limiter gauge are key to making the most of the moveset. Akira's other specials involve the Legion in different ways, starting with something that uses the Astral Chain itself. By teaming up with your Legion, you can lasso enemies to hold them down, helps detain bad guys and chimeras. On use, Akira recalls their Legion to their side, or summons it if it's inactive but available. Then they hurl the chain to throw the Legion forward a set distance through the background, up to half an average stage length, less distance than in the original game. As the Legion returns, the Astral Chain forms a horizontal circle parallel to Akira's position that squeezes inward and ties around any enemy fighters caught in its radius, locking them down for a few brief moments as if they'd been grabbed, giving you a chance to run up and attack, or send your Legion to do the dirty work for you. But make it fast, because the bind doesn't last very long. They can mash to get out faster, and it lasts even less time for anyone in midair. Chain bind is, functionally, a command grab that covers a line directly in front of you with alarming reach, and plenty of downsides to keep it balanced. This move has significant startup by command grab standards, even more if you have to bring your Legion back first. It acts as a hit grab, in other words it gets blocked by shields, and it fails completely if your Legion isn't available. Works best when used as a trapping move, and when you have enough gauge to spare. Your Legion can do more than attacks though. It can also help pull you out of trouble. This movement technique from Astral Chain helps with traversal, and was the obvious choice for the up special. Press up and B, and if the Legion is next to Akira, they send it upward, damaging anyone in its flight path, extending the Astral Chain along with it. A moment later, the Legion pulls them to its location. You have a decent range of angles to send the Legion out at, all primarily upward, but with some flexibility. Actually, no, the real flexibility kicks in if the Legion is already sent out. You skip the first part and reel yourself in to where it already is, vaulting over ledges, platforms, and any obstructions in between the two of you, albeit with a very predictable travel path via the Astral Chain giving away exactly where you're going. Chain Jump is a recovery move with multiple versions. One sends you a decent distance with a big bodyguard to protect you. The other lets you go much further, provided you plan ahead and have your Legion out beforehand as backup. And if your Legion isn't available at all, you get a third version where Akira just extends the chain with nothing attached for a passable yet vulnerable tether recovery. Sure, it's never used this way in the original game, but it wouldn't be fair if you couldn't recover at all when your Legion was MIA. A summon, a grab, a recovery move, what's left? Akira's down special is a two-part utility move. In Astral Chain, Legions have skills you can unlock and activate on command. This move combines two of the skills the Sword Legion learns. Use it while your Legion is out, and you get one of two skills depending on your current formation. If your Legion is next to you, it summons a ring of swords that briefly spin around both of you, for much less time than in the original game. The blades deal multiple quick hits to anyone nearby, disrupting aggressive enemies. If you're separated though, the Legion instead creates 3 swords and sends them spinning down the Astral Chain toward you, damaging any foes along the way. Once the swords reach you, they turn around and travel back down the chain, moving faster than before. But as the swords reach the Legion again, a sync attack aura appears. Press B with proper timing, and the attack continues, and you expend a segment of limiter, sending the swords back to you again, moving even faster than before. You can even do this another time for a third volley that racks up even more damage. Round Sword and Triple Sword are 2 moves in one for protecting yourself or controlling a section of the stage. Just keep tabs on your limiter gauge. This move chews through it faster than anything else in Akira's moveset. Going through all 3 volleys of Triple Sword will expend the entire thing, and if your Legion isn't available, you can't use this move at all. Alright, here's the spoiler part. Ready? Because there's one thing we absolutely have to use for Akira's final smash. Yeah, I know, has to be this. The Howard twins' ultimate move taps into a power only they are capable of. Utilizing the Smash Ball's power, Akira fully synchronizes with their Legion. Seizing the moment, they rip out the Legatus device's core and shove it into their chest, becoming a hybrid fusion of human and Legion. Warped beyond recognition but still in control, they let out a piercing scream that stuns anyone nearby and pulls them right in front of their position. If anyone was caught, the fusion tears into them with claw swipes so rapid they rupture the surrounding air. And once their foes are left clinging to life, this dark hero leaps up high, channels astral energy into one arm, and slams down with a final cleave that distorts the ground around them. Exhausted, but still alive, Akira and the Legion separate and continue the fight. This is how Akira Howard could fight in Smash. Twin officers from a future hanging on by a thread against an interdimensional force hell-bent on erasing everything and resetting the world. But by harnessing that very threat to fight for them instead, they have the answer they need to defy their fated extinction. But will they survive to see it through? That is complicated. The Howard twins fight with a puppeteer style, human and Legion acting as one to control the stage and the flow of battle. By learning their Legion's behavior and working with it, they can create devastating setups and easy knockouts. And they can play defense surprisingly well, using their Legion to draw aggro and being decently heavy themselves. However, the Legion can only be used in limited bursts, and if the gauge runs out, you're stuck fighting solo for a while, which is a problem because they're much less capable in straight fights without the Legion providing backup. And since they have little control over when the Legion attacks, they must plan around its actions, for better or worse. Glad to have this one finally done. Wait, I said that last time. Full disclosure, I kept putting this one off because I wanted to refresh myself on Astral Chain first. Hadn't played it since the end of 2019. But with how rough things have been behind the scenes this year, I only got to do that partially. Hopefully I was still able to capture the essence of this character nonetheless. There were a few ideas that didn't survive to the final design. I thought about using the other legions you get in the game for specific actions. The smash attack sync attacks would have summoned the arm, axe, and beast legions, respectively. Ended up thinking it would have made the moveset too complex. I also decided not to have Akira's A moves get faster when the legion is active. That's how it works in Astral Chain, but their frame data felt too much like a necessary weak point. Honestly, it really sucks to see this series end up a potential victim of circumstance, especially when there's some really interesting lore they could build on, like the astral plane being a literal great filter that resets planetary civilizations before their denizens can develop interstellar travel, something it's already done to Earth in-universe several times before. Or implications that all the legends about a great flood are actually recollections of the last time it happened, passed down for millennia until the original context was long forgotten. Who knows, maybe Smash could end up being the arc Astral Chain needs until it can survive on its own again. Thanks to these people here for contributing to this video, especially all of my supporters, patrons, and YouTube members both. If you want to chip into the channel, either one works. The rewards are the same. Speaking of which, anyone on the list, for as little as $1 per month, can vote on which of these characters gets a Smash newcomer design next. There are a couple big new additions this time. Don't worry about Mallow. He'll show up again in the long run. So, until next time, has anyone seen any toilet paper around here? I need it for it's a long story.